adding non-procedural textures. Now, what I showed you is like 1/10 of the possibilities, because I wanted to really show you the painting of textures. But this next little thing is the ability to use other textures on top of it already. So in here, this is House of Tutorials / Z Flea Market. I got a lot of textures out here. They're all free to use, free to exploit. I got some metal. Okay, lots of possibilities. But I have this really cool kind of carbon fiber stuff right here. So I'm going to take this and go into the higher res by clicking on it once, and it goes into the really high res stuff. And I want to show you that you can add this sparingly. Don't overuse it. Just so I'm going to paste it right here on top. And for this, I really need to use my UVs more, so I'm going to kind of throw this on top of everything. And I need it so it's really bright. So let's see. There we go. That looks better. So now I can see the UVs a little bit better. Okay, so what I do with this is I'm going to squish it down to match one of my parts. In this case, this gun butt, or the stock. And I'm going to put it in the right. There we go. And also duplicate this and move it to match the other part also. Okay, there we go. So I got these big huge shells here, but they don't really match. You know what I mean? They don't match the formation of this. So what I'm going to do here is take the warp tool, and I'm going to warp this around so it best represents the shape of that object. And if you're going to go with this workflow, it's smart to keep all your objects really like this. I should have had it laid out more so it's straight instead of at an angle, because you can see at an angle it's kind of hard to work with this tool. But those are things that, you know, I want to show you. So I should have planned ahead a little bit more. There we go. So till it best represents that shape, or something like that. And you gotta be really careful about using too much of this, because what happens is if you go too much, don't forget you're doing this in Photoshop, and it's got a seam, so you could accidentally get too much seam in there. Okay, so I'm gonna go to my, there's that one. And here's this one. And warping this one. And to get all my points here, I gotta zoom out a little bit. Somewhere going off my document. It might be a little easier to work way up here anyway. Now, most of the time when I'll do this pre-ZBrush too, because I can fix up the seams there in ZBrush. Okay, good. Now I got these two chunks and they match as far as the outerior shell, and I can go out here. But I want to turn them to something so I can see all of my other underlaying detail. Now multiply might be a little dark. But I can tint that back going to 41. And don't forget, if this one's going to be 41% opacity, this one has to match 41% opacity. And whatever you use. If you don't do this, you'll have a huge seam and it's going to look ugly. So that's just a little bit of texture difference right there. And I could take these and like maybe layer merge down so they're the same layer. And that'll give me the option to, you know, switch around, duplicate them, play around with the layer styles until I'm happy with what I have. There we go. One on overlay and one on multiply. That works really well. Okay, and save this. Let's go back into Maya and kind of look at that. So that's the workflow of adding non-procedural textures back there in Photoshop. Certainly you can extrapolate from that and get a lot of use out of it. And something like this you're not going to see until you get right up against it, but there you go. See how that one's got a little bit different texture in it, but it still keeps all the detail. Alright, so there is my new weapon. Please meet me in the next video where we do something else.